Welcome back, everyone. Michael here with Offshore Citizen. I often get people who have the assumption that all of my clients are super successful. And although I certainly have lots of very successful clients, there's people from all different walks of life who reach out to me. And so today I wanted to talk a little bit about at what level does offshore make sense to you? And therefore, based on your situation, should you be looking into these types of solutions for yourself, or should you be working on something else? And one of the things I think is worth considering is that when I talk to people, I try to give them the best advice possible. And sometimes the best advice is, hey, listen, the path you're going down should be, it's just not the best use of your time and energy at this point in time. It might be intellectually enjoyable. The thought of maybe not paying tax might be appealing, but honestly, you should focus more on making money, right? Or building your business, or growing your team, or automating things, etc. Anyway, we're going to talk about that subject today and what might be useful to you. So let's get started. Before we do, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the all notifications. I really appreciate your support. Thank you very much. And if you would like help with international tax optimization, asset protection, forming companies, opening bank accounts, getting residencies and citizenships around the world, please reach out to me. You can book a call, calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer. There's a link in the description below. Or you can send a message through our websites, offshorecitizen.net or offshorecapitalist.com. All right. So here's the thing. There's quite a spectrum of areas in which I help people. We very often work with people to get citizenship by investment programs, and realistically, those usually start around $100,000 and go up to around $1 million, right? So that gives you some idea of budget. Then we help people with building international structures, setting up companies abroad, and banking and payment processing and offices and all this kind of thing, which is more sophisticated on, say, the tax planning side. And there's that. Then we help people who are looking to relocate to another country, or we help somebody who is relocating to maybe a more optimal country to set up some sort of a company that's going to work for drop shipping or for affiliate marketing or for an Amazon business, etc. Sometimes we talk to people about what to do about their crypto, or how to make things work in that regard. Sometimes it's just helping people opening up bank accounts. Okay, so there's quite a spectrum of possibilities. I think from an ROI standpoint, I always say that, if you're looking at something purely for a financial benefit, right? In other words, you're going out saying, hey, listen, I'm wanting to do this because I'm going to save money in either, not lose it to some sort of expense, whether that expense is tax or cost or, payment processing cost, etc., or to some sort of liability, you want to protect yourself in the event you get sued or something like that. Usually you want at least a 3x ROI on your investment. So if you're going to spend, $10,000, well, you better save at least, $30,000. And if it's going to cost you $10,000 a year, well, you better save $30,000 a year. That kind of thing. Now, this is, of course, not assured, right? Lots of people can do things in whatever way they want, but in my opinion, you should get a decent positive ROI. So let's set up two main fields to look at, okay? The first one are people who are going to look at staying where they're at and building some sort of legal structure that is going to result in them optimizing their situation. Now, in this case, usually you need to be larger scale in order to benefit from it. This isn't always the case. You could be in a country where it's, pretty easy. And, sometimes we get clients like that. Most of our clients are people who are coming, who are in, higher tax countries, more complex countries, etc. But in theory, they could be from anywhere. I think I've worked with people from 53 different countries now. So if that's the case, then usually you want to be in a situation where, at the very lowest, you're making a few $100,000s a year in profit. Okay, that's usually kind of the starting point for those types of structures. And the reason for this is sometimes you have to hire people abroad, sometimes you need to add management complexity, sometimes you need to form companies in a bunch of different places, which are going to have ongoing costs. Like, you're going to incur a bunch of expense in this, not only on the planning side, but on the implementation side. And so to get that ROI, if you're making 500 grand a year, okay, then that can make sense depending on your tax bracket. If on the other hand, you're making 50 grand a year, it's really hard to get an ROI on that. You're probably best off, taking that same energy you would put into, optimizing your situation from a savings standpoint, instead focus it on a growth standpoint. On the flip side, we have people who are willing to relocate. And when you're willing to relocate, for most people, this can be beneficial no matter how low you go, because you have cost of living to consider. You have, not any need to do anything sophisticated. It's often actually going to cost you less to optimize more than it is staying in your home country. So whether you're moving from Switzerland to Bulgaria, or whether you're moving from Canada to Thailand, you have almost certainly cost benefits that are going to come in there. And so you could make 3 grand a month and it could still make sense for you, because look, you're going to save money on living in this other place, and you're probably going to save some tax in the process. If you go from 30% tax to 10% tax and you didn't have to build any different legal structure, great. Like, that's fantastic, right? If on top of that, your cost of living just got cut in half or something, well, you got an added benefit. So there's a really easy payoff in those situations. So I think the point is, the easy way to do a lot of this stuff is to relocate if you're willing and able for what it is that you're doing to relocate. If that's your situation, the question is mainly one of values, right? Like, do you actually want to go live in another country? If you want to, fantastic. There's probably a payoff there. If you don't want to, well, the value of life, doing things that you enjoy, being with the people who you care about, etc., has its own value. And so, I certainly wouldn't recommend going away from those things. On the flip side, it matters a lot more, right? Which is, hey, I'm in a situation where, I'm building a significant business, maybe I'm paying a lot of tax, maybe I'm exposed to a bunch of liability, I'm starting to accumulate a lot of assets, and I'm potentially going to be a target for some sort of a frivolous lawsuit. I'm going to be in a situation where I want some sort of backup plan, I want some sort of a diversification strategy. In those cases, I would say, a few $100 grand a year is the minimum starting point, and then typically the bigger you go, the better. If you're up into the tens of millions a year, then it's pretty much always going to pay for itself many, many times over. So I hope that helps. Hope it gives you an idea. If you have questions, let me know. Put them in the comments below. Again, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Thank you very much for your support, and I will see you guys on the next video.